Welcome back to the channel, this tactical intellectual channel. This is the Scholars Corner portion, and the scholar that we're going to highlight is Dr. Maria Charles. Now, in making this video presentation, I thought about doing something elaborate and nice, but you know what? I'm just going to be basic and straight to the point, bare bones in this one, because you will see Dr. Maria Charles in my video presentations a lot. Different topics regarding the different Europeans and different people worldwide, connecting everything to melanated people. You're gonna see that in multiple videos now. So right now I'm gonna chop up a lot of videos, and that's gonna be the introduction right there. So I will have links to the videos that I use and draw from in the description. So here's the introduction right here in video format. You know, most of the questions that you have in regards to who Dr. Maria Charles is will be answered from herself. All right, so enough of hearing me speak. Let's go ahead and get into the first video.
No, but I've learned though, I have learned doing this research that you've got to have your sleep, otherwise, because the work is so intensive.
Sure.
You've got to be able to function at that level because you are juggling so many disciplines: archaeology, anthropology, history, etymology, linguistics. Brilliant work of Dr. Clyde Winters. So you need your sleep, you need your time out to restore all of your neurons, that's and to build new neurons. That's so important.
Absolutely.
But I will say that the actual core and the center of all the research began about 5 years ago. So I've built up a very, very solid mass of information now that I just keep dipping into and adding.
Okay.
So and also because we get to, as researchers, we get to realize the tricks that are being played on us in the twistery books, as Dr. Valentine calls them. So when they've started to section off artificially Vikings, Anglo-Saxons, to Arthur de Danann, these are all artificial timelines. So once we start to get rid of that, we can start, well, I can start to put these issues together to show you our history. And that's how they're unfolding.
So that's Dr. Maria Charles. I know some of you guys are thinking, all right, she's a researcher, but what does her research entail? Well, she did mention some of the disciplines that she's involved with and concerned herself with. For example, you know, archaeology, history, of course, etymology, linguistics, philology, probably, no doubt. So, I mean, there's more. So let's go ahead and go to the next clip.
Let him go. Don't let him go. You're amazing, Dr. Charles. You're amazing.
Thank you. But a lot of my work rests on the great scholars who are here today, like Dr. Clyde Winters, and the ones that rest in paradise as we know them: Dr. Amos Wilson, Asa Hilliard, Dr. John Henry Clark, Shashi McIntyre.
So when you look at these interviews from Dr. Maria Charles, one thing jumps out at me, that she's very respectful of her predecessors and contemporary scholars. She draws from them, she utilizes that work, and when she's speaking with other scholars, you can tell that she receives input well, and when need be, constructive criticism. I haven't seen constructive criticism be needed when it comes to her, because she receives everything so well. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward.
No, I think that's wonderful. I think that's great. And you said it perfectly. That's what it's about. But those schisms that we actually do have in our own heads, where we have to, it's a form of warfare, isn't it? That this is what we,
that's
and we shy away from it, and we say, warfare? What are you talking about?
Sure.
But it is. But it is. This is what this is about, essentially. Why would they try so hard to keep our history from us? Why? It's a daily pursuit. There are committees, organizations, there are industries that dominate the writing of books and of information. that it is spewed out and controlled in a particular way. There's a reason for that.
And it's almost like the vampire movies. That are you a pure vampire, or were you just merely turned? Right? When you don't have that origin story, you don't have that beginning story. So their job, just as they can't see themselves in history, their jobs is to make sure that we don't see ourselves in our history. That's their job.
But I have to say, Reverend, they're doing a very good job.
Oh, no question. Oh, you got that right. You got it right.
They're doing an excellent job at
yes,
history
because they're calling us, you and me, we're crazy right now. You and I, there are black people around the world that will see this, and they'll probably comment, and of course you'll get blocked and deleted. But you'll say, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Who is this bald-headed son bitch? He don't know what he's. They're not that. So yes, when you see that, you know that job well done, Amu. Job well done.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And of course, when we look at the individuals who are teaching our children, I mean, I'm not saying that all our children are going home to a vacuum. Some of our children have got excellent parents who are teaching to them, but many of them are not. And those children are not going to make it. They're going to become third and fourth frequency, which I'm hoping that your program and these publications get out there, and that many people are listening, and they start to change the consciousness of our children. They have to know that they are primary, they are primordial, they are first, and they seeded the planet. This is what we came from, our children. And so every time you step into a university, when you step into the halls of learning, you have to deconstruct everything.
So that was some very deep stuff right there. I advise you guys who are listening to go back at the 4-minute 15-second mark all the way to the 7-minute 4-second mark, and just go over with the proverbial fine-tooth comb everything that was discussed here, because she mentioned that schism or divisions of strongly opposed beliefs being pushed on children and adults hardcore. And she was correct when she said that it was basically a form of warfare, because that is psychological warfare. And we know psychological warfare is, techniques that's used to influence behaviors. So really, it would do us really good to look at all the players involved that play a part when it comes to feeding us propaganda, because they are pushing those distortions too. So just follow the chain. When you go to school, you gotta look at the literature. You gotta look at that publishing company. The writers involved. Who's backing and providing the finances to publish. And yeah, I say that because there are committees, there are institutions, there are organizations, societies, industries, etc. that decide or control the literature and the content used in elementary, middle, and high school, and even colleges and universities to push that distortion. All right. Now, let me give you an example. You remember the news articles that came out about, all right, there's 11 companies who control all the products that you use in everyday life. Well, a lot of people were shocked about that. So it's in the same vein. You have to look at, okay, who's controlling what? Okay, who's funding what? Who's writing what? So, it's going back to those committees and institutions and organizations, societies, and the different industries. So, like Coke, they could be funding some group that call themselves archaeologists, and then those archaeologists, because they're being paid by Coke. All right, so you want to go along with the narrative that Coke wants you to go along with. So then they start publishing stuff, their findings, and then they go to the universities. Then the universities, right, publish those, and then they go to the major publishers who have contracts with these schools, and to produce the books that's being used in the curriculum. So then, hey, okay, so we got the schools now. So I mean, then of course naturally the teachers teach from that book. So I mean that's the chain right there. So what she said, they don't see themselves, as a source of civilizations, so their aim is to make you feel the same way. So now we know that the educational system is meant to do damage, psychological damage, because it's a arm of Bianco supremacy or Blanca supremacy. So it does damage because it's meant to distort the minds. So again, the 4-minute 15-second mark to the 7-minute 4-second mark, go over that with a fine-tooth comb and just digest it, what's being said. All right, so let's move on.
So this is really powerful, because what you're doing and what you're uncovering, recovering, and rediscovering is saving a lot of children. You're saving an entire generation by them seeing this information and knowing where they come from, and putting that first sight of consciousness back into us, and see how it lands. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely, you nail everything as always. And I, as you were talking, I was thinking about Paget Henry, who is a huge proponent and leader in face side consciousness and Africana phenomenology. And he uses this phrase, and he says, we have to pull apart the imperial geography and clearing the decks. We have to clear the way. That's what I do every day. I clear it away so that the face side consciousness can come into play to show us who we are. That's through history, archaeology, anthropology, all of the disciplines that we don't see ourselves in. Now, you will see, as this presentation unfolds, you will see the face of archaeology and anthropology. Now, we probably know this in our minds, but again, face side consciousness, you have to see the other side to allow you to be strong in face side consciousness, because it's a dose of reality. You have to see what you are up against. We know it, but we don't see it. And that's what I'm going to show today.
Oh, I can't wait. So
absolutely. And of course, I'm always very aware that sometimes it feels like a jelly throwing exercise, where I'm just throwing all of this information. So I've held back a little bit, because a lot of the information is in this issue of the magazine, and there's just so much information that I had to pace it out this time. But I hope the family get a sense that old Europe, Eastern Europe, what they never show you in the textbooks was black. Wow. The material culture just keeps unfolding, and I've shown just a small percentage of it today, but you'll see page after page after page of black Russians.
One of the things that I also love about your work and your methodology and how you approach it, and it's what you say, we have to put our eyes on it, right? So we can't assume that because they dug it up and labeled it, that what they're saying and what they're seeing and their interpretation is correct. We're going to see something completely different because it's ours.
It's ours, exactly.
And so we're going to recognize certain things that they cannot recognize because they weren't here. They don't have that level of genetic memory. Yeah. And so we have to uncover and rediscover our history. And I just think what you're doing and what Dr. Winters is doing, uncovering foundational Africans around whatever the continent is.
That's right.
Whatever the land is.
Here's a little keynote slide. You can pause and read it if you want to, but we're going to resume with the presentation.
If you don't want me to get excited, because understand it, if our children start to understand this, it's all over when we start debating in Oxford and in Cambridge. Carry on, sister.
So we have Carthagena in Spain and Carthage in Africa. See, language, geometry, anthropology will take you back to the original people all the time. Now, let's look carefully what those animals are doing. You'll find in the literature, they call them beasts and they call them lots of negative names, but they don't ever tell you what those creatures or animals signify. Those animals are positioned by the ears, which is so important in terms of its symbology, as they are whispering words of wisdom from the animal domain. It's very, very powerful. And when you see, sometimes it's a reference to the lower self from the animal domain, but most often it's about words of wisdom. When we see birds particularly, it's very powerful. The birds are a reference which we see a lot in West African art. They are called the Awan Iya Wa, which are our sacred mothers, always whispering sacred words in our ears. And this is what they preserved.
Sister, can I just pause you 1 second there?
Yes.
Sister, I'm listening to you, I'm watching you. Sister, this is more than just educating the masses to you. I can see it on your face, beloved. As you're talking to us, beloved, it's like another spirit is working through you. You're channeling this to us. Sister, I just don't want us to take this lightly today. I really don't want us to take this lightly, sister. Please, just before you carry, just 1 minute, sister. Just please explain the price you personally had to go through academically in order to be able to teach the way you're teaching today. Because, you know, sis, I don't want to say. Just please, just spend 1 minute. What price did you have to go through, sister, to do the workshop you're doing tonight with us?
Well, I don't know where to start.
Even
doing my PhD, I had supervisors who abandoned me as a student and said, we can't work with you. I had to fight for my viva. I had to fight to defend my PhD because they wouldn't let me take it. They wouldn't let me take it. I had to fight. I had 6 months of protractions, going back and forth, meetings. It was very, very, very stressful. But I got there. I had Professor Gus John on my panel as my external, and he was a warrior in the room. It was magnificent, but it hasn't been easy. But hey, look,
sister,
research that is being put before me by the ancestors.
Sister,
it's incredible.
I don't want to stop your flow. You carry on teaching. I just wanted people to understand that what we're hearing tonight, don't take it lightly. And don't think that we as a people can't get together because we are just ignorant and that we just hate each other. No. There's a hidden hand that works 24 hours a day.
Yes.
Dumbing us down via television, via music, via the school system, via, yes, I'm going to say the medical world. Yeah. And I'm telling you, brothers, so you got to fight. We have got to fight for our independent minds. And what you're hearing today, understand, this sister has paid a price, but now she's going to be glorified. Because we're talking behind the scenes, we're going to be let me know, brothers and sisters, if we organize the course on Hidden Truth to go into African origins of Britain and the UK, would you be interested in it? We're going to be running a course for over 4 weeks dealing with that. So we're going to go through step by step. All what you're hearing tonight is just an introduction. But we're going to be running a course. We want our people in the UK, and we know we got people from America on the platform. We got people from the Caribbean on the platform. We got people from but I want us to specialize, pinpoint, laser focus on destroying the illusion of what we've been taught, brothers and sisters, and starting with the UK and Europe. Would you be interested in our course when we run it with our sister? Sister, if you could see the response in the chat room, it's phenomenal.
Well, you know, just to conclude on that, Brother Andrew, before I just get back to these images, I made 52 requests to go into a school during my PhD to teach this program, not this particular program, because this is the real heavy core program. And I had 51 rejections.
Listen, brothers and sisters, listen. You
51. 51 rejections, and it was my colleague, Professor Boyle, who I write with my formative methodology work. That's my other hat that I wear. He was able to get into a school in Manchester to get me in to do my field work.
My God, sister, I'm telling you,
system,
the level of oppression. They fear us so much. Sister, don't let me stop it, man. We've got 10 minutes.
But that's
rush it. Don't rush it. Carry on.
That is so interesting because for those head teachers to look at my initial application, my letter to come into the school, just must have filled them with terror.
Can you imagine?
Terror. So
I'm saying, Dr. Marie, not only did I not want black people and Asian people, they don't want the white children even to hear this.
Exactly.
They don't even want to open the doors to white children. Say, you know what? Oh my God.
No, because it's over.
It's over.
It's forget it. It's over.
It's over.
All right, so that's about it. Here you can pause and read the closing comments that I have in slide form. That's Dr. Maria Charles for you, world scholar. Now you're gonna see a lot of her video interviews and publications, the books and the magazines that I have. You're gonna see a lot of that in my video presentations. So stay tuned for that. I appreciate the support, and next time.